Everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Film and Learning Podcast. And I have a special topic for you today that is related to what's going on in the United States right now. We are deep into an election cycle here in the US, and Amazon has decided to go rogue and not allow any political ads on their streaming platform. It's a unique move. It's something that I think has positives and negatives, because I think there's a bigger impact to this choice than what we just see at face value. So for all of this, we're going to hand this over to Grayson and Maya. They're going to do a breakdown on the article that I wrote about this, and I'll catch up with you guys at the end.
All right, so picture this. You settle in, finally ready for that season finale you've been waiting for. Tensions are high, everybody's on the edge of their seat, and just when you think the suspense can't get any thicker, bam, no political attack ad. You go straight back to the action.
Interesting.
That's the reality for Amazon Prime Video viewers this election season. And honestly, it's got everybody talking.
It has.
So welcome to the Deep Dive, where today we are diving into Amazon's decision to ban political ads.
Yeah, what I find really fascinating about this whole thing is it's not just like they're hitting the mute button on like politicians. It's a total blackout.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking no parties, no issue-based ads, nothing. If it even smells like elections, Prime Video wants absolutely nothing to do with it.
Yeah, you're not just getting like a little commercial break here or there, during a debate or something. This ban is all-encompassing Thursday Night Football movie marathon.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. During an election year on Prime Video, you are entering a politics-free zone.
Precisely.
And the million-dollar question is, why go to such lengths? Why do it?
Why, indeed.
Well, our sources seem to suggest it all comes down to this idea of ad fatigue.
And you know, it's not just some kind of like, feeling they're going with their gut. This is a calculated decision about the viewing experience, right? They're recognizing that in this world, we live in this world that's just saturated with information, especially during something like election season. Sometimes, what people crave most,
Yes.
a break from the noise.
It's true. You're trying to, unwind after a long day, escape into another world for just a little bit, and suddenly you're bombarded with negative campaigning, partisan rhetoric, all that stuff.
Exactly.
It's enough to make anyone just want to, switch off completely.
Yeah.
Maybe even cancel their subscription.
And that's where Amazon's strategy here gets really, really interesting. Because what they're banking on is this idea that by offering viewers this haven, this escape from this political deluge, it's actually going to foster a deeper sense of loyalty to the platform.
Oh, interesting.
So it becomes less about just the content that they're providing and more about the overall experience they're curating for you.
So it's kind of like they're flipping the script on the traditional streaming model, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's not just about, competing for your attention with just more content, more features, more carrots. It's a completely different value proposition.
Yeah.
It's peace of mind.
And this difference in approach, this is what I find really interesting, is you see it even more when you start comparing them to other players in this streaming landscape.
Like who?
Well, take Hulu, for instance.
Yeah.
They're still very much entrenched in that traditional model, right? Running political ads during their programming, all this high-profile events.
Yeah, especially during those big events.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think this difference really highlights this very unique position these streaming services are in. They're not actually bound by the same FCC regulations as like traditional broadcasters. So they have a lot more flexibility, a lot more leeway to experiment, to set their own rules for how they're going to engage with all this.
So it's like we're seeing this battle play out right in front of us, right? For our attention. And let's be honest, our wallets. And it begs the question, is Amazon onto something here? Could this be the start of, a much larger trend where these streaming platforms are competing not just on content, but on these very carefully curated experiences tailored to our, increasingly fragmented attention spans?
Yeah, could do.
Yeah, it really is. It's like you're choosing between, that bustling city square and that quiet nature retreat, and both valid choices, right? Just catering to different needs.
Sure.
And right now, it seems like Amazon's banking on the idea that a lot of us are craving that retreat, that escape from, just the constant noise of the election cycle.
Yeah.
But like with every, big decision, there are bound to be those who really benefit and those who might face some new challenges.
Absolutely. It's like you said, it's like throwing a pebble into a pond. The ripples, they extend far beyond that initial splash.
Totally.
On the surface, it seems pretty clear who the winners are in this scenario, right?
Who would you say?
Well, the viewers, of course.
Okay, yeah.
They get to enjoy their favorite shows without being constantly interrupted by, political messaging. Basically, they're getting this, premium politics-free experience.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially for people who are already, feeling overwhelmed by just the amount of political content that's out there. It's got to be like a breath of fresh air for them.
Absolutely. But it's interesting if we kind of dive a little deeper, it does get a bit more nuanced.
How so?
Well, while the viewers are celebrating this respite from, the political ad barrage for the political campaigns themselves, this ban presents a very real challenge. Right, because they're constantly trying to figure out how to reach voters.
Exactly.
And increasingly, voters are streaming content online.
Absolutely, and it's their way to connect, right? Especially with those younger demographics that might not even own a TV anymore, let alone watch cable news.
Right.
So if a platform like Prime Video, with its massive user base, is suddenly like a no-go zone for all their messaging, it forces them to get really creative.
Yeah.
They have to rethink their entire digital strategy.
So it's bigger than just saying like, oh, we're not going to run your ad here.
Absolutely, and this is where some experts argue that the implications go way beyond just, campaign logistics.
In what way?
Well, think about it this way. What happens to political discourse as a whole when a major platform essentially shuts down this key avenue for reaching potential voters? It's a good point, especially those voters who maybe aren't, actively seeking out political news or engaging in those conversations on social media.
Yeah.
They might just be relying on those ads, however annoying they can be, to sort of stay in the loop.
Absolutely. And it's not even just about staying informed. Think about candidates with more limited resources who might depend on platforms like Prime Video for that really targeted outreach to certain demographics.
Yeah.
This kind of ban could put them at a significant disadvantage.
So suddenly we're not just talking about ad fatigue, viewer preference anymore, right? It's starting to feel like we're talking about the potential impacts on, campaign finance, voter access to information, maybe even the very fabric of how our democratic process works.
Precisely. It's like we're holding a mirror up to this ever-evolving relationship between how we consume media technology and the way we engage with these really complex political systems.
Totally. Yeah, it's wild when you think about it. We started off talking about wanting a little peace and quiet during movie night.
Right.
And now we're questioning like the future of democracy in the digital age. Talk about a deep dive.
It really goes to show you how even these seemingly small choices, like banning a couple ads on a streaming platform, can have these ripple effects that spark these much larger conversations.
That's true.
We always think about technology as this like neutral tool, but the reality is it's shaping our world whether we realize it or not, and in ways we don't even anticipate half the time.
Yeah, and that's what I think makes this whole thing so fascinating, because we could just, write it off as like, oh, it's just another corporate decision, whatever. But it's so much deeper than that. You know what I mean?
It is.
It's like it's making us confront these huge questions about how we consume information, how we're engaging with like the political process. What role do these massive companies play in all of this?
Right.
Kind of a lot to unpack.
Yeah, it's like we're standing at this crossroads, right?
Okay.
And one path is leading us to this future where these platforms like Prime Video become these like curated bubbles, offering escape from all the noise, all the complexities of the world.
Right.
And then the other path, well, it's leading us to a future where these platforms become even more integrated into our political lives, which,
Which is a little scary.
could be good, could be bad, who knows?
Exactly. And I think the question is, which path do we choose? Or maybe the better question is, how are these choices being made for us? And what does that mean, for democracy and like informed citizenship and all of that?
Yeah.
It's exciting, but it's also a little bit daunting, don't you think?
A little bit of both, right?
Yeah.
It definitely gives us a lot to think about. I mean, as these platforms continue to evolve, as they become more and more intertwined with our daily lives, their influence on our political landscape is undeniable.
Yeah.
And it's really up to us as consumers, as citizens, to stay informed, to ask the critical questions, and to demand that transparency and accountability from these companies.
Well said. It's a good reminder that even when we're just trying to escape for an hour or two, we can't ever really unplug from, the bigger picture.
That's right.
And on that note, we hope this deep dive has given you plenty to ponder. Maybe even spark some of your own conversations offline.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, the most important discussions aren't happening with our screens.
Right.
They're happening with each other.
100%. So the next time that you are settling in for movie night, free from those political ad breaks, take a second. Appreciate the quiet.
Yeah.
but also, maybe use it as a chance to think about like this whole relationship between technology, entertainment, and the future of, all of this stuff. But until then, we will see you in the next deep dive.
So there you have it. Amazon banning political ads. I don't know about you guys. I do not like political ads, so the idea of them banning them, I am a big fan of, but I can see that there are bigger implications to this choice. If you want to read the entire article with more detail, go over to filmandlearning.com. There are links in the show notes, and I will catch you guys in episode 3.